Voice of Men 360 is a non-profit organization founded in 2020 and based in London, Ontario, Canada. Voice of Men 360 was born out of recognizing the tremendous void men and boys face in overcoming life challenges. Our goal is to support them in addressing this issue to the extent that we believe will also lead to them making more meaningful contributions to their communities. Our vision is to provide positive, preventative, and supportive ongoing services to improve gender relations, uplift the disadvantaged, offer life skills, and empower men and boys throughout Canada and the world. Our mission is creating a more peaceful and harmonious Canada by promoting positive male role models for boys and men, collaborating with individuals, government, NGOs, and private.
Collaborating with individuals,
A hearty good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and a warm welcome to everyone, including our esteemed panel, joining us today as we here at Voice of Men 360 gather with the rest of you to celebrate International Men's Day 2025. We appreciate you spending this time with us on this very special occasion. Before we go any further, I'd like to introduce our operations manager, Rob Herholz, to announce the land acknowledgement. Rob.
Thank you, Dipchand. I have it right here. We acknowledge the land we are meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinabeg, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 within the Mississaugas of the Credit. Back to you, Dipchand.
Thanks, Rob. And we start off with a brief rundown of what our organization entails. Our organization, Voice of Men 360, is a non-profit based in London, Ontario, Canada, and primarily advocates for and support men and boys, including the disadvantaged and underprivileged. We also reach out to other demographics as best we can and collaborate with other like-minded organizations such as the Moulton Women's Council, seeking the best interests of members of our communities. We have also supported the Indigenous community with donation drives, as well as organizing and hosting truth and reconciliation events. Speaking of which, I believe we have a poster because of us having currently a donation drive. You can take a look at this here, and it runs from October 28th to the end of December, I believe, as you can see on the screen. And there are things there that you can donate, such as snacks, granola bar, crackers, fruit, etc. It's an urgent call-in for things like hand and foot warmers, winter hats, mitts, socks, and things of that nature. So we would really appreciate if you can give as much as you can to this very important event. Okay, so as we continue, this year's theme for International Men's Day 2025 Observance is a celebration of men and boys everywhere. With us today to bring this home is a vibrant and illustrious international panel, and to help us navigate this journey is my co-host, our operations manager, the wonderful Rob Herholz of Ajax. And all the way in London, Ontario, is our esteemed president, Sivam Velautam, who is behind the scenes, manning the controls to ensure as seamless a broadcast as possible. My name is Dipchand Ramcharitar, Outreach and Development Coordinator here at Voice of Men 360. As we continue, we would like to take a moment here to recognize and, of course, pay our respects to all the men and boys who have lost their lives serving their communities and nations over time. May you forever rest in peace. We would like to observe a moment's silence at this time. In 2020. We are indeed grateful to International Men's Day and its founder, Dr. Jerome Tilak Singh, for all their outstanding support and guidance during this time. International Men's Day has been serving and continues to do so to all men and boys in a similar capacity for over 25 years and in more than 95 countries. I believe we have a video message from from Dr. Tilak Singh at this point.
Hi, good day. I am Jerome Tilak Singh from Trinidad and Tobago, and I want to commend and congratulate Voice of Men 360 for having this two-day international virtual conference to observe International Men's Day. Voice of Men 360 has been doing an excellent job, not just for International Men's Day, but throughout the last few years. They have been having extremely interesting and exciting sessions. This year, International Men's Day, we have chosen the theme Celebrating Men and Boys. And we want to celebrate our males, our men and boys who often are on the fringe of society. They are ignored, taken for granted, and they play a major role in our society and our world. I want to thank every one of you all for attending today and tomorrow, supporting International Men's Day. This year, 97 countries will be observing International Men's Day. And I particularly want to thank the members of Voice of Men 360 who have put together these interesting, exciting discussions. And I want you all to congratulate yourselves and continue being positive role models. Thank you all.
Thank you, Dr. Tilak Singh, for that inspiring message and for all your pioneering work and continuous hard effort, most important efforts that you've put in as we go forward. We would like to run through our disclaimer right now. We would like to remind you that Voice of Men 360's mission is always delivered with good faith towards peaceful harmony. The views and opinions expressed in today's episode are those of our speakers and do not represent Voice of Men 360 necessarily. Our organization engages in discussion forums to offer inspiration and create awareness of the issues of men who wish to overcome their life challenges. We are not providing medical or therapeutic advice. Should you require that type of assistance, we recommend you contact a medical professional immediately. If you have any questions or concerns about today's episode or any Voice of Men 360 content, please email us at info@voiceofmen360.org. And now, to get into the meat of the matter, I would hand you over to the wonderful Rob Herholz, who would introduce the guests and himself and carry on from there. Rob?
Thanks, Dipchand. Hello, everybody. Good evening. My name is Rob Herholz. I'm the operations manager for Voice of Men 360. I joined the organization about 18 months ago when I was going through my own personal apocalypse, for lack of a better word. I'd been to hell and back and up and down, and I needed some sort of direction in life, which I found. And my calling has always been to help other people, and to do it in a forum such as this. It was new, it was energetic, it still is full of opportunity, full of hope, and it was exactly what I needed, and some higher power that I subscribe to sort of led me down this path, and I'm grateful to be here today with all of you. So we have some speakers that we'd like to bring on to say a few words. Just a few housekeeping things to go over. We'd like to limit the time to 3 to 5 minutes per speaker, if possible. Some of the topics will definitely warrant time beyond that. However, we do have platform. We're on all social media platforms, and I would suggest if something if there's a topic that extends that time period and is better suited to a longer form conversation on YouTube, for example, that is something that we can arrange. So going through the list of guests here, I believe first up we have Benjamin Thain to discuss the influence and impact on society.
Hello, good morning, everybody from Malaysia.
Good morning.
Okay. Well, touching on the subject, I often ask my audiences, right now we live in a time of social media, influencers, right, and TikToks and stuff like that, right? But and we look around and there's like so much content that's being flooded towards us, right? And sometimes you tend to question like what exactly are they trying to influence, right? And and with these influences, I like to ask them the same questions as well. And these days, in modern times, power does not just lie on institutions, right? Ordinary individuals like you and me can shape communities, right? All people, I'm a layperson, right? Who's just gaily doing my job, my 9 to 5, right? And lo and behold, just like our friend just mentioned, some the higher power just had other plans for me, right? And I answered that calling, and hence it led me to this work, which is to alleviate the lives of people who are affected by HIV, chemsex addiction, as well as mental health, right? So I'd also like to share, hopefully, inspire and motivate all our listeners today. And please know that you too hold the power of influence. All of us do, right? The words that come out of our mouths, our actions, right? And influence is built essentially through being authentic, to have integrity, to be consistent, right? And also it helps to when we come with a lived experience. Last but not least, own your voice and keep it purposeful, right? Because you never know who's listening. It it often boils down to our intention, and this is what I feel, along the course of doing my work, and amongst nonprofit organizations, right, and working with the community, right. So I'd like to share with everyone: keep your voice purposeful, right? Keep it with intention, because what we do today will define tomorrow. Um, In fact, recently, Alleviate Malaysia just celebrated our 5th year anniversary. 5th year of doing social impact work, right? And one thing that I was sharing with my guests is like the world does not change because of one person. It's when many people step out of the sidelines and they decide that this matters. Because if I stand alone, all these while, I started the Alleviate Malaysia by myself, with no tools, not much of a know-how, right? And but with this belief that one person, has to start, and it led to 5 years, right? But my impact ends where my energy ends. So let's stand together. Our impact could change the narratives for the people whom we love. Yeah, and there are people listening, right? You don't know who's listening, right? And yeah, embrace the power of your voice, share, get out of the sidelines, stand up, make your voice heard, right? And make it purposeful. Thank you very much to Voice of Men 360 for this platform to share my voice as well as a little bit about my work in Alleviate Malaysia.
Thank you very much, Benjamin, and congratulations on your success. Our next speaker is Dr. Bolu Olaniru on the importance of honoring and celebrating men and boys.
Hello, everyone. I hope you can all hear me. My name is Dr. Bolu Olaniru, and I am a gender-based advocate, a gender-based violence advocate against gender-based. Sorry, my mind is a bit all over the place right now. I also am a teacher as well as the founder of Rooted in Care, which is a source of refreshment and connection for caregivers, specifically those of autistic individuals. So today I'm going to talk about why men and boys are important, especially on International Men's Day. International Men's Day is a day that is dedicated to recognizing the values, contributions, and well-beings of men and boys in our families, our communities, and also around the world. Men and boys are important because they play essential roles in shaping the society. They are sons, brothers, fathers, mentors, leaders, friends. Their actions, compassion, creativity, and strength, both emotional and physical, help build the foundations of our communities. Yet too often, the positive contributions that men and boys go unnoticed or unspoken. So today gives us one of those chances to change that narrative. So International Men's Day is not just about celebrating men and boys. It's also about acknowledging the challenges that they face as well. Many boys grow up hearing messages that it can be discouraging, especially when it comes to expressing emotions, asking for help, or showing any type of vulnerability. Many men, they struggle silently with mental health issues and crises, societal expectations, and pressures to always be strong. So when we talk about men and boys, we're also talking about their rights and their well-beings and emotional expressions and support. So this day matters because supporting men and boys, it strengthens the society as a whole. When boys grow up with positive role models, when they become men, they're encouraged to take care of their mental health. When fathers are empowered to be active to their families, and when kindness, respect, and responsibilities are taught to young men, we all benefit as a society and as a whole. So healthy men help create healthy communities. So International Men Day is also a time to invite boys and men to be part of building fairer and safer worlds. So ones where there's respect, there's empathy, and equality that guide all of our actions. So it reminds us that positive masculinity or masculinity just built on compassion, integrity, and responsibility is something worth celebrating and as well as promoting. So today, let us honor the men and the boys in our lives who inspire us on a daily basis. Let us appreciate the boys who will become men tomorrow and the leaders of tomorrow. And let us support their health, uplift their voices, and encourage them to be their full, authentic selves. Because when men and boys thrive, it also helps the family unit. The family unit thrives, the community thrives, society thrives, the world thrives as well. At this point, I just want to thank all the special men in my life. My husband, he is an amazing support and pillar of our family. I have boys as well. My sons, amazing, amazing boys that will grow up to be terrific and positive influences within the society. My brothers, my father, my grandparents, my grandpa, everyone, all my male friends. I thank them all and I wish them all a happy International Men's Day. And I know today is International Men's Day, but it shouldn't be just for today. It should be as we celebrate everyone on a continuous basis. We also will never forget to include the men that often, a lot of times, get silenced or kind of dismissed. And thank you so much, Voices of Men 360, for this opportunity to highlight, appreciate, and showcase the great contributions that men make, not only in our lives, but as the society as a whole.
That's great. Thank you very much, Doctor. That was a very passionate segment. Thank you so much. Up next, we have Renu Arora on changing society's negative perception.
Hi, everyone. My name is Renu Arora. I am an energy healer based in Mississauga. I work with the subconscious to basically heal emotional trauma. So it's all around mental health. And so changing, actually, I want to speak on this topic based from my point of view, my experience. So my practice is open to everybody. I don't exclude anybody, but it's very obvious that most of the people who come to me who want to work on their own mental health are women, and it's a huge disparity between the number of men seeking help and the women who are coming in. And as Dr. Bolu just mentioned previously, there's a reason for that. There's a massive stigma around addressing mental health. There's the idea that men are supposed to be strong, that men are supposed to suck it up, that they can't talk about their feelings, that they're not allowed to address their trauma and talk about it. And that's a really big issue. Because an expression you might have heard is hurt people hurt people. The expression I like to use is happy people aren't mean. And what does that mean? It means people who have trauma, people who are hurt, who are sad, who have been abused, who have been neglected, they're the ones who turn around because they don't have any way of processing it, and it comes out. It comes out as aggression. It comes out as betrayal, like all the things, as anger and so on. Like we cannot pretend that, like, statistically men are more likely to commit violent crimes and to abuse. They're also more likely to commit suicide. Society has not made it okay for men to be vulnerable. Society hasn't made it okay for men to get the help that they need. Problem is, we're all of us conditioned for men to be strong and tough. Well, it's okay for women to say, this is too much for me. And that's not fair, right? I say anyone who's ever has spent time with little kids, little boys and little girls, they're exactly the same, right? The same things hurt them. The same things make them sad. The same things, they have the same fears. They have the same vulnerabilities. It's society that tells them what is acceptable for a man and what's acceptable for a woman. And the problem is that's all of us. All of us are responsible to change how we how we think about men and women and recognize that they are fundamentally the same and that it should be okay to treat them all equally and understand that they all have trauma. And see, society is comprised of all the people. Like, we are all part of society. It's not one big whole, it's people. And I don't have all the answers, but in my opinion, the way to start to shift society, as a whole, is one person at a time. One person at a time needs to be able to heal, needs to be able to recognize that they don't need to be upset. They don't need to take that out on the next generation. They can now start the process of change. And that's how things get better overall.
That's great. Thank you so much, Renu, and I love that poster behind you. It's fantastic. Thank you so much for your contribution. Up next, we have Payman Lorenzo to discuss proposed legislative changes. You're on mute, Payman.
How do I change that? I'm on my phone.
You're good now.
Okay, guys. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Coming to you from a little village in the north of Vietnam for a wedding here. A little bit about me. I'm a big advocate for people sharing their stories, their gifts, because our gifts are the most valuable thing we have, our voice. And that's what I do. I've been doing for the last 5 years through my podcast, Leaders with a Heart, as well as my books of the same name, my talks around the world and conferences and all that, my TED Talk and all that. So yes, there's definitely some much needed legislative changes that need to be done to support further men, to really help to provide more support to group for men, because as the previous speaker mentioned, unfortunately there's not much things in place for men. And one ways that really would love to see changes, specifically in the area of the family court system, because the family court system is really not helping men. There's a lot of things that need to be changed. In case of divorce, men are being the one that, yes, divorce is a devastating thing for everyone involved, but specifically for men. Countless men have had their lives completely ruined as a result of divorce. There's a lot of things that need to be changed to make the society more fair, to further support men and provide a more support system for men around us and around the world. Because as mentioned before, a lot of men are suffering in silence. And I've been there myself. I've been into a lot of difficulties in my life. But, and again, outside of family, there was not much support available. And as a man, especially in some cultures, we're not supposed to show any weakness. And that really doesn't help us. And if there was some support system for us men, as there are plenty, countless for women, then it would make, I would encourage more and more men to come forward uh, to really help each other. And yes, there are countless men groups available that are slowly starting to come around. One of them being my good friend in Malaysia, Mauricio Rossini, is the one that's been doing amazing things for men around him, in Kuala Lumpur and other areas. And there's people doing that, but still it's quite small. But as we all say, all it takes is just one person, inspiring one person, helping one person to really bring help to, and more than help, a platform and encouragement to say, you're not alone. We are here. We are here to help each other. 1 + 1 = 11. Come join us. Share your story. Share your struggles. Because again, it's all about sharing your struggles. Because not only there's other people who've been through what you're going through, what they're going through, but also to really help and inspire those that are currently going through, and especially the younger generation. So I would love to see more of that, especially at the legislative levels, for a more fair judicial system, legal system. It's not just one-sided. And there's a lot of things as a result of that that have been completely changing society, not for the better. And that might be beyond the scope of this event, but the men in here know what I'm talking about. So I would love to see more of that. But again, you guys at Men 360 have been doing that beautifully for building this platform, creating this platform, building this platform. So men from around the world come together, share the stories, share the voices, to provide a platform for other men to seek information, guidance, and all that. So I love that. And we need more of that. So just keep, we need more of that to really, again, it's all about providing a platform for men so they don't feel any more isolated. So they know that there are people, other like-minded people that have been through what they're going through, because we all learn to each other's experiences, and that's what events like that can do. And by doing so, hopefully, in the not so distant future, we can also inspire those empowered to also take measures in that direction to create a more just, a more fair environment for men, and also provide more support for men of all ages, because men are a very, very important part of society. Our brothers, our for the people, for the ladies, their husbands, their sons, and so on and so forth. They are the, you know, men and women. They are here to complete each other, and we need each other. Men need women, women need men, and we need to come together to create an environment, an ecosystem that's going to be uh, there for both of us to coexist, to co-live, and most importantly, to co-create magic together. Because again, we have a lot of good things, phenomenal men, phenomenal women. We just need to come together, and for that, our legislators, politicians need to start listening to us and the voice of men to create a better world for all of us. Because again, once we create those legislation, those support system, it makes life better for everyone involved across the spectrum for everybody. Because I've known on my podcast for the last 5 years and over 400 episodes, I've countless men complain about that. But the number one recurring theme was that they have no support system. They have no place to talk, or they're being ridiculed or not taken seriously, because we men, historically and societally, we're not meant to show any weakness. We're supposed to be the rock in our families and environment. However, yes, we are that. But also, we are, at the end of the day, we are human beings. We have our weaknesses, our days, challenging days, just like anyone. Nothing is, rainbows and flowers. So, and those men have been saying and it's been very heartbreaking to see some of the how their lives have been completely destroyed by the completely unjust and one-sided court system. And not just that, the livelihoods have been taken, the children, the family, what they've built all their lives, all of that for just something that is absolutely not fair. And again, so I've had my fair share of incredible stories on my podcast of men, and all of them complaining about the same thing. There's no social support for them. And I'm so happy and delighted to see that you guys at 360, my good friend Mauricio in Malaysia with his men's circle and all that, I've been doing, building and doing great things to inspire other men, not just men, not just for helping other men, because when men help other men, it's gonna reflect the people in their lives, the women, the children, the people. It's gonna affect positively everybody. So we need that. You guys are doing great, just loving it, and I can keep going on and on. But the one thing I will say is that yes, we men, we need a platform, and we need some changes, and hopefully this can be seen by some people in power that's gonna take some measures in the right direction to create a better world for all of us involved. So thank you very much, and as I like to say, have a fantabulous rest of your day or evening for you guys.
Thank you very much, Payman. Thank you for making the time to join us. And now, I believe we have a video message from Dr. Susan, which I believe Sivam is queuing up.
Hello, my name is Susan Schwartz, and I'm pleased to be here, sending a video and hello to all of you. I have written a couple of books on absent fathers, one in relation to daughters and one in relation to sons. Absent father effect on daughters and the absent father yearning sons for males. So what I would like to speak about just a bit is an example of a father and a son who actually decided to do some inner work, Jungian analytical psychology. And we all met over Zoom over many, many weeks. And over the time, both of them realized the value of each other. They had really been estranged for a very long time. And it looked like at the beginning that there was too much distance, too much separation, too much anger, too much that they didn't know about each other. Each was resentful, angry, hurt, and upset. Each had an absent father, and it was being passed on through the generations. Both of them wanted to change. They never knew how. They were each in pain from being estranged from each other, and yet really could not find a way through it at all. However, over time, they began to share how they felt inside. They realized the places that they understood of each other. They were actually amazed to find how many of the difficulties of life had assailed both of them in their relationships, in their work life, and in their sense of self. Both had suffered. And as we spoke over and over, and again I want to stress that it takes time, they were able to reestablish a really quite amazing relationship to each other. And over the time, the phrase, "I love you," came through over and over and over again. And they were both pleased. They both held this in value. They held the time together as sacred and important. And both of them wished for it to keep on improving. They did not know how, but they had the trust that now that they had established enough of a relationship together, they would be able to continue on. And I want to express to all of you the value of fathers, the value of sons, the value of a wonderful bond between people, and what that does actually for our entire world. So thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you for that, Sivam. I believe up next we have Dr. Suri Charles to discuss highlighting invisible men.
Yes, thank you. Hello, everyone. I am Dr. Suri Charles. I am a clinical child and neuropsychologist. All right, so today I choose to highlight the invisible man, the ones who keep the world standing. Let's take a look at the school cleaners, bus operators. They're up before dawn every single day, ensuring that our children and our city move safely. How about those construction workers, plumbers, electricians, mechanics, the hands that build, repair, and sustain what we rely on every single day? Now, the garbage collectors and sanitation crews who protect our health quietly without any fanfare. Delivery riders, drivers who keep life moving, rain or shine. The single fathers, the man working 2-3 jobs, providing silently so the family's children can thrive. Teachers, mentors, caregivers, nurturing, caring, shaping the next generation with patience and heart. The farmers, fishermen, utility workers, sustaining our daily needs in ways we rarely see and we take them for granted. Now, all of these men, invisible men, they don't ask to be noticed. But today, we choose to see them because recognition is more than praise. It is dignity. Some of the greatest heroes already walking in our neighborhood. They're wearing uniforms, boots, gloves, and humble smiles. So why should we highlight them? Why should we honor them? It's just a job. Because they are the backbone of the society. Without their work, daily life would collapse. Yet, their contributions often go unnoticed because they operate behind the scenes, or they just expect it because they are men. It's their job to get it done. Awards and praise usually go to celebrities and high-profile achievers. Now, by honoring and highlighting these invisible men, we all can affirm that worth isn't tied to fame, but to service and resilience. Our culture usually tends to glorify visible success while undervaluing essential labor. Bringing attention and highlighting to these roles hopefully helps to shift that narrative. Now, when we all see the effort behind their comfort and convenience, they're more likely to treat these workers and these invisible men with respect and fairness. So today I choose to honor and highlight them. That's just all of us. Let's honor all of these invisible men, not with applause alone, but with gratitude that remembers and respect that lasts. Thank you so much, invisible man, each and every one of you. And thank you, Voice of Man 360, for having me here on board today.
Thank you very much, Doctor. Thank you for your insight, and thank you for joining us all the way from Singapore. Up next, we have Akeem Alleyne to discuss challenges and sacrifices.
Hello and good day to everyone, or good evening and good night, wherever you are in the world. My name is Akeem Alleyne. I'm 25 years old, and I come from the country of Trinidad and Tobago in the Caribbean. And I also I basically participated in this event recently, which was a debate, a national debate, a debate more or less pertaining to men's issues, was broadcasted in my home country. So, pertaining to challenges faced by men, I think we all are basically aware of some of those challenges. I think in terms of emotional issues, mental issues, psychological issues that really afflict men, regardless of age, socioeconomic bracket, race, and so many other factors as well. And if we're talking about in terms of sacrifices, I think a lot of people would emphasize work and family related sacrifices that typically would afflict men, and understanding that us as men, we do place a lot of pressure on ourselves to be the breadwinner, to be the provider, to be the one that be the foundation of our families. And placing that serious amount of pressure on ourselves, it really does impact us negatively. And also tied into sacrifices, we also had to take note that sacrifices can also lead into, unfortunately, a lot of negative stuff like drugs, alcohol, gambling, smoking, addiction to pornography and sex and these sorts of things. Because we lead a lot of men through the pressures of work and family do lead into those things as a form of comfort. And it's hard for a man to sacrifice or give up on those things in order to find true peace and happiness into themselves. Because I'm sure if I was to ask right now, how many people here have been afflicted by stuff such as drugs and alcohol and gambling, or know somebody who has been afflicted as such as a way to cope with certain things. I'm sure a lot of people could raise their hands up right now and say, I know somebody or I'm aware of somebody that is afflicted by that stuff, or they themselves have been afflicted by that stuff in the past. And to to give up that stuff, to sacrifice that stuff, I understand that is very, very difficult for a lot of people to do. With that. So in terms of sacrifices, I guess very much of a concern that a lot of our men and boys are very much struggling to sacrifice those types of things in order to become better well-rounded individuals. And I do hope that hopefully with this platform such as Voice and Men, I do believe that we can hopefully resolve those types of issues in regards to issue regarding to challenges and sacrifices for our men and boys.
Thanks very much, Akeem. Okay. Up next, I just see some text coming through here. Well, I'm just going to go by my list here, and that will lead us to Pastor Thomas.
Actually, Rob, can you take
Yeah.
Dr. Kamran? Kamran is waiting, though.
Dr. Cameron?
Hi.
Okay. Hey, doctor, how are you?
I'm fine. I'm fine.
Excellent. Welcome, and the floor is yours.
A pleasure. Thank you very much. I'm outside, so sorry about the lighting and all, but a pleasure to be here. I didn't want to miss out on this. I'm very much talking in line with the last two speakers, and especially Dr. Charles. It's repetition of some of the things she talked about. Very, very important, I think. I'll just add a personal touch to that. This is a piece that I will read. I had written it for my father along very much the same lines as Dr. Charles was talking, and I sent it to him very quickly in 30 seconds. When he was around 95 years old, he passed away at 99, so a few years ago. But I sent it to him, and I'm just saying it's important to say it as a concept, but it's important to actually acknowledge the elders and the men in our lives who have contributed to us and who have contributed to the society. It's important to make that statement and to let them hear it. When I sent it to him, I visited him a year or so after that, and in his room I found in large print, he got it printed for himself on a large print because he could read but with difficulty. He had folded it and he had put it under his pillow. And what that told me was that it mattered. It was precious for him to hear that. So making a point that we need to acknowledge our elders for the contributions, the individuals, the contributions that they've made to the society and to us. This is the piece that I wrote. It's like 3-4 minutes. So let me read it to you. I grew up with Marvel Comics. I loved superheroes. Thor was my favorite. When I grew up, I got to know Joseph Campbell and read of the hero's journey. These were people, mostly men, who left their homes and traveled to far-off places in search of adventures and quests, fighting dragons and monsters, risking their own lives, and returning home with the treasure or the fair maiden, or having saved all humanity. I grew up wanting to be more like these marvelous heroes. My own father, however, was nothing like these heroes. Day after day, he used to go to his job and return home tired. Working for Pakistan International Airlines, he would go to the airport and do his shifts, his repetitive and tiresome work endlessly. Just to say that I wrote it as a piece for Father's Day on Facebook, but it was more directed towards him. Okay, so he would go to the airport and do his shifts, his repetitive, tiresome work endlessly. He would make sure that the planes were airworthy. That was all there was to his job. And he continued doing it year after year after year for over 40 years. I wondered how he could live a life that repetitive, that boring. Was there really no spark in him? Was there no desire in him to go off on adventures, taking risks, and meeting monsters and fair maidens? He seemed nothing like the marvelous heroes that I idealized. My father, this is when I wrote it, is 95 now. Over the last few years, I pieced together his youth from his own recollections and stories from the extended families. And I realized that before his marriage, he had medals from his college in swimming, diving, in boxing, in marksmanship. Even after his marriage, he used to love driving jeeps over sand dunes. This is the area that he was working in, full of deserts around. In sand dunes, in his first job in a desert development authority. But then came the children and the responsibilities. Then came the need to provide a safe and secure environment to raise the children. The need for a steady flow of resources, a steady income to provide the best he could for his family. I was the last child. By the time I came, the jeeps were all gone. They were replaced by a family car, a Volkswagen. And the diving and the boxing were replaced by night shifts at the airport tarmac. He would come home tired, but then he would lie down with my sister and me on the two sides, reading to us from books or telling us stories. In the middle of the story, he would often get sleepy and the story would stop making sense. We would laugh and wake him up again and again. You would tell him what he was saying and he would laugh with us and continue with the story again. There was no annoyance from his side, never. He never told us that he loved us, but he never had to. We always knew, always. He worked day shifts and he worked night shifts, making sure that there was always money to pay our fees and always food on our tables, and making sure that there was money left over for fun projects and vacation and Time Life books. In those days, we used to have these Time Life books on nature and world travels and the universe and all. It is only now towards the evening of my own life that I realized that there are many different kinds of heroes. There are the flashy and the glitzy heroes that I used to look up to in my youth. But then there are the silent and discreet heroes who sacrificed so much of what they liked to do, of what they wanted to do, for the sake of others they love. They do not live out all of their dreams so that those they love can realize theirs. It is their quiet sacrifice, day after day, year after year, that turns them into heroes who have the courage and the devotion to live their lives for others. As is common in us humans, it is when things fail that we appreciate what it takes to keep them functioning. I was reminded of the quiet heroics of my father and many others like him when a PIA, Pakistan International Airline plane, recently went down, killing scores of people. But what if he was not in engineering? What if he was a janitor? What if he was in accounts? All those who work honestly day and night to make systems run, systems that we count on, systems that we rely on, systems that sustain our lives, that they are all our quiet heroes. So I honor my father, not for being a Marvel hero, but for knowing what it takes to put someone else's needs and someone else's welfare above his own, for knowing how to sacrifice, for watching a little bit of himself die every day so that others may live their lives to the fullest, contributing to the lives of individuals within the family, us, and contributing to the systems that we rely on in the society. We need to actually, not as a concept, but say our piece and acknowledge our uncles and fathers and perhaps ourselves, acknowledging and celebrating the roles that we play in keeping these systems running. I'm talking about systems where it was primarily men doing it. Even in the more developed countries, there are certain kinds of jobs that are still done primarily by men. And we need to acknowledge and be grateful for that. And we need to tell them that we are grateful for that. Over to you, Rob. And you know my background. If there's any specific thing that you want me to comment on, please feel free.
Thank you very much, Doctor. Always a pleasure. Okay, we're coming up on the hour here. Do we want to keep plowing ahead? Do you want to take a 5-minute stretch or what? Anything? Good to go? Okay.
Keep going.
So, we did have Pastor Thomas on deck here, but I do not see Pastor Thomas. Is there a Pastor Thomas in the house? Going once?
No, we don't.
Okay, then we'll pass it over to Chief Little Eagle for the topic of how can we better support older men who struggle with retirement, loss of identity, or declining social circles.
Kwei, hello, brothers and sisters. How are you this evening? I hope all is well. My name is Chief Little Eagle. I'm a First Nation Algonquin native from Northern Ontario. I'm a founder of Hunting for Greatness, the Native Ways, which my mission statement is reconnecting humanity back to Mother Nature and sharing my Indigenous heritage and culture with the world. Today on International Men's Day, I want to talk about the struggle and the support that a lot of the older men deal with retirement, loss of identity, and just declining in the social circles. So I want to speak from the heart, not as a chief, not as a firefighter, not as an author, but as a son, a father, and a man who has watched too many good men suffer in silence. We talk a lot today about supporting youth, supporting women, supporting mental health, and yes, all that is very important. But there's a group we very rarely speak about, and that's the ones that have been there from the beginning. That's our grandfathers, that's our fathers, that's our uncles. And so it's our older men, the men who retire, the men who lost their identity, and the men that once had full circles and suddenly found themselves all alone. In our communities, Indigenous and non-Indigenous, this is becoming a quiet crisis, and it needs to stop. So we men need to speak out, and that's the only way this is going to help and that change is going to happen. So retirement isn't rest, but it's a storm of identity lost. And for many men, work wasn't just a job, it was a purpose, their way of providing a sense that I mattered. And so when retirement hits, many men don't feel relaxed. They feel invisible. In the Native ways, identity was never tied to a paycheck or a position. In our ways, it was tied to purpose. And that's what we were all about. Teaching and being a knowledge keeper and passing that on to future generations. And this is where we can support our older men, is by reminding them that they are not done, that they are needed more than ever. And that is to pass on the knowledge and the education that they have gained from all their experiences over the years. So older men rarely admit this out loud. And I speak actually from myself, which I haven't even experienced that much. I'm halfway through life right now. And I've learned this, that loneliness destroys more men than alcohol, stress, or failure ever will. And when the workplace is gone, when the kids grow up, when the friends drift away, and when your only focus is how the doctor was saying earlier, that it was all caring for others and doing it for everybody else and forgetting about himself, a man is left asking, where do I belong now? And as part of truth and reconciliation, we talk about rebuilding community, culture, and connection. But this isn't just for Indigenous people. It's for all men. Reconciliation is all about reconciling with ourselves, with our own past, our own hurts, and our own fears. And many older men have never been permitted to speak honestly about it. And they've actually been isolated and been raised not to speak about it. So what we need to do is we need to truly support men. We don't fix this with slogans or posters. We don't fix it with media or anything. We fix it with purpose. We fix it with brotherhood and respect. So we give the older men roles. We let them teach us and be mentors and the knowledge keepers and the teachers to pass down the skills that are very important. And in today's modern society, we're losing a lot. We need to invite them back into the community. And it's not just for the older men too. This is for all the elderly. We need to have them more involved with the everyday things. They built the past for us younger generation. And so we need to carry it on, and we need to take care of our elders. And so we need to invite them back into the community. We need to honor their stories, and we need to ask them and speak to them and find out what it is that they need to learn, that we need to learn to pass on and carry on to a better future. So I want to just say out to everybody for International Men's Day that we need to stand together, we need to speak up, and we need to show each other that we care and we are here to make this a better place, and for our future children's generations to show them that it's okay, that we men have feelings and emotions, and we are here to carry on and to keep helping each other as the future goes on. So thank you very much, everybody. Have a blessed day, and men and women, keep working hard and keep your head up.
Thanks very much, Pat, Chief Little Eagle. Thanks again for your time. Thank you for making the time to be here. Very powerful stuff. I believe Sivam has another video to play.
Yeah.
Hi there, everyone. My name is Brian Oler. I'm really grateful for the chance to speak with you today, even though I can't be there live. International Men's Day is a powerful moment to pause and reflect. Not on perfection, not on massive gestures, but just on the quiet, everyday heroism that so many men practice without ever really calling it what it is. And if there's one thing my own journey has taught me, it's that heroism doesn't always look like strength from the outside looking in. Sometimes it simply looks like surviving. Sometimes it looks like facing a truth you've been running from. And, sometimes it's even simply choosing to keep going, just one day at a time, one foot in front of the other. For over 20 years, my career in policing shaped how I understood leadership and service and what it was like to be the strong one. But in 2004, after a line of duty tragedy that didn't really impact my life until 2012, my whole world shifted. I went from being the one people relied on to being the one who needed help. And I learned the hard way that trauma doesn't care about rank or years of service or how tough you think you are. And like a lot of men, my first instinct was silence, bury it, power through it, don't show weakness. But ultimately that silence nearly cost me everything, my health, my career, my marriage, my fatherhood, and all those relationships that mattered the most. And what saved me was support, real connection, the people around me who stood firm for me when I couldn't. And slowly, painfully, I learned that vulnerability isn't the opposite of strength. In fact, it's part of it. And that's why International Men's Day matters, because despite all the progress we've made, men are still taught to carry weight alone, to be unbreakable, never show cracks in your armor, never lift your mask. But here's the truth. Every man carries something: stress, trauma, fear, responsibility, unspoken pain. All of it counts. All of it matters. And every man deserves space to talk about it, to heal from it, and to be celebrated, not just for what he does, but for everything he survives. When we talk about everyday heroes, we're not talking about moments or headlines. We're talking about the dad who gets up every morning, even when he's exhausted, the frontline worker who shows up to help strangers at their worst moments, the teachers, the mentors, the coaches who just listen. Maynard reaches out for help even when his voice is shaking and his heart is racing. The friend who checks in on another guy, the partner who apologizes and grows and helps you flourish. Heroism is showing up, especially when life is heavy. Anybody can navigate a ship through gentle seas. It's when the seas get rough that you really see who really comes there for you in your life. And I've met countless men across Canada who don't think they're heroes because they're not perfect. But that's exactly the point. Heroism is often imperfect and ugly and always, always human. So tonight, as you celebrate the men in your lives and the men in our communities and yourselves, I want you to remember this. Being a hero isn't about carrying everything. It's about carrying what you can and letting others help you with the rest. It's okay to split that load. And if you're struggling, you're not alone. If you're tired, it doesn't mean you're failing. If you need help, you deserve it. And if you're still here, still trying, then you're already showing more strength than you will ever know. Thank you for giving me a few minutes today. Thank you to the Voice of Men team for creating this space. And thank you to every man watching, whether you're watching live or whether you're watching a replay, for everything you do that no one sees, for everything you carry that no one knows, and for everything you overcome that no one celebrates. You matter. Your story matters. And today, it's about honoring you. Happy International Men's Day.
Okay, thanks for that message, Sivam. We have next on our agenda to speak Wade Simmons, who is going to discuss how men often burn out silently, especially in high-stress jobs. What are some of the warning signs, and what supports or interventions actually work? Thanks for joining us, Wade.
Hey, how you doing today? Everything that everybody has said has been really beautiful, by the way. Every speaker has done a phenomenal job. And actually, Brian kind of just, everything he just said kind of just sets up the topic that I have. But honestly, first of all, I want to just let you all know that I am Wade Simmons. I'm an independent filmmaker, funeral service worker, and I have a background in professional wrestling. So from being a professional in the funeral business, I have seen a lot of men deal with suicide from having high stress jobs, which actually being a funeral director is one of those jobs. And what a lot of people really don't understand is that when a person has a high stress level job, a lot of times there's a lot of things that a person is carrying. Like I'm reminded of when I was in high school, that was one of my colleagues in high school. He, after we graduated, he went to school to be a barber, and he couldn't pass the test. And he was just trying to feed and provide for his family. And he ended up committing suicide. And that was really devastating. And so I think that as a man, to be honest with you, like no matter what your occupation or title is, there's no heavier responsibility than to provide for a household, wife, children, things of that nature. Like that within itself is a high pressure job, because a lot of people don't realize, like just as it has been stated, that as a man, by society standard, it is our job to be providers. And oftentimes, sometimes in life, even while we're trying to make provision, a lot of times things don't always work out. A lot of people have careers, whether it's a trade or, whether it's like being a plumber or being a funeral director or being a lawyer. Sometimes these tests that we have to take can be hard. And sometimes people are just trying to get ahead to make a better life for their family. And sometimes that creates unnecessary stress, which, because I know myself, I actually dealt with that. And it ended up leading to me developing a vocal disorder called spasmodic dysphonia, which I had no clue what that was. But I didn't realize that I was just having like a lot of stress from work and just trying to pass tests and things of that nature. So with that being said, what are the signs? A lot of the signs, one of them can be withdrawal. One of them can be kind of just like, not having an uplifting spirit, or, just not wanting to talk to people. And even sometimes, like, stress actually affects us in other ways. Like with me, it affects my voice. Some people have headaches, some people have stomach aches. So sometimes one of the other dangerous things is that there are oftentimes, in some cases, are no signs. And so I think one of the best tools to prevent it is just, when you think of somebody, check on them. It doesn't matter what time of day, because a lot of times when somebody's laid on your heart, maybe they're dealing with something. So I think like groups like this really help, just kind of people checking in with one another, because sometimes, there are no signs and you just never know what a person is dealing with. So just reach out to somebody and let them know that you love them and that you care, and that, if you can help them in any way, because I think one of the greatest cures to anything is just love, support, and just people being able to be vulnerable and real, because it's like a lot of times as men, we hide things, and sometimes people want people to believe that they're doing well. And so, like I said, to me, oftentimes there's just not really any clear indications all the time, because sometimes people don't want people to know that they're struggling. And so that's why it's so important that as men, that, people that whether it's your best friend or somebody that you just associate, it's just good to talk to people, because you never know what people's head is at. And again, being a funeral service worker, I've seen a lot of cases where people have committed suicide. I had a friend of mine, his father passed due to suicide. And so, and I remember even seeing him like the day before it happened. And, we didn't see any signs. And so it's just one of those things where it's just so important to check in with people, and for people to not be afraid. Like fear is another thing that, I think causes people to feel lonely and depressed, because it's like, hey, I don't want anybody to know that I'm going through this. But a lot of times if you open up and be honest and let a person know, like, look, things are not the way that I thought they would be. I'm struggling. I need help. Like, we should be able to come to one another with no judgment. And so to me, I think just the best way is just to check in on people and just be open and honest with people, and not be afraid to be vulnerable, and not be afraid to say, hey man, I need help, or I'm struggling, because all of us at one point in time have probably dealt with depression. It's just some of us may be overcoming it a little quicker than others. So I just think showing love and support and just being there, because again, oftentimes there are no signs, because some people may show signs, but in a lot of times you can see just people just smiling and laughing, and just, never know that they're really dying inside. So I just think it's just so important just to let people know you're available. And then if you're struggling with anything, don't feel bad about it, because everybody goes through struggle at one time in their life. And so it's just being able to be there for open arms. So I thank everybody who has spoken so far, and everybody who's speaking after, because this is good, and we need more things like this. So I appreciate you all for doing this.
Thank you very much, Wade. That's very profound words, man. Thank you so much for making the time to be with us. And now I turn it over to Dipchand, who has an announcement about an announcement. Dipchand?
We have an
You're good now.
upcoming. Yeah, thank you, Rob. We have an upcoming nomination process where people can submit entries of men in their lives who have made some significant contribution and has been exceptional in their lives and set a very important example for others to follow. The forms are available on it's a Google form, and it's available on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. The deadline for submission is 15th of December. Sivam, do you have the form available, or
Yeah, it will be displayed on all social media though.
Okay, very good. So as I alluded to earlier, it will be displayed, and it's on social media, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. So the deadline date again is December 15th. So please complete the form. My understanding is that you have to complete the entire form, fill out all the allotted spaces in there, and make sure you complete them. So come out in your large numbers, and take advantage of this opportunity to put someone up there for recognition. So now I believe we have Stephen. Is Stephen there? Stephen Doris?
Not ready, so we have a video to play.
Okay, very good. So next we have an upcoming video. Go ahead, Sivam, please. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Charlene Davidson, founder and coach at Fueling 22 Resiliency Coaching. I am grateful to be here today to wish everybody a happy International Men's Day and to honor all of our everyday heroes. Resilience is a big word that we hear absolutely everywhere these days, and yet many still don't understand its true meaning. It is once believed that it was all about how hard of a hit you could take and keep on going. Today, I'm here to share with you that it is more about the preparation and about training so that you can overcome challenges, adversities, and navigate them with greater ease. I can be found at fueling22.org. Happy International Men's Day.
Okay, thank you very much for that inspiring message. And if Stephen Doris is there, we can go next to him. If he's not, I can do some announcements about our organization. So looking around, I don't think yeah, so let me run out. I'm sorry. Let me run out some announcements here. First of all, we have a few live shows. Number one, Open Up. That's about sharing your life journey. And that live talk is on Sundays at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Then we have another program in Tamil called Veli, another live talk show available on Sundays at 8 a.m. Eastern Time. Monthly men's group meeting, and this only is for men by men, which is on every second Saturday of every month from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. and that's via Zoom. And just so that you know, there will be absolutely no recordings. Please join us through Zoom. The link would be available on our Facebook page and group. There are no limitations based on gender, age, nationality, or ethnic background. We're asking everybody to join us from all walks of life are welcome to participate in our shows. If you are interested in being a guest in any of our shows or would like to join our organization and contribute directly or indirectly, please don't hesitate to reach us out to us. We would love to work with individuals, professionals, experts, community organizations, associations, corporations, government officials, and businesses. Our phone number is 226-289-8784. Our email address is info@voiceofmen360.org. Website www.voiceofmen360.org. You can find us on pretty much all social media. So, Chief, can you share your contact details as I'm speaking here so we can display them? So if Stephen isn't available still, we had one topic that wasn't discussed because I don't think Pastor Thomas showed up, and it's on the importance of leadership. For the guests that are on here, is there anybody who would like to discuss this particular topic, the importance of leadership?
I can piggyback off what Chief Little Eagle said, because he kind of touched on leadership a little bit, because leadership is a powerful thing, because everybody knows that all of us have problems. Like, we have our joy, we have our pain, but sometimes it takes a person that's, realistic and vulnerable, but also caring enough to stand up and say, you know what can I do to make things better for somebody else, And I think that takes a little bit of, selflessness a little bit. But I think that having good leadership, I think it's like, instead of like one person just carrying the weight, it's more like a person just standing up and showing everybody how to bear each other's burdens, Somebody who can come together and say, hey man, look, I got this problem, you got this problem. Let's come together and work together. So to me, leadership is a very powerful thing, because again, it just starts with somebody having an idea, kind of like the open up platform. So that's all I got to say.
I think we should go around the table and just have an open discussion about it. What do you guys think? I mean, I think leadership, could mean different things to different people. But to me, I'm just going to jump in. I'll just say leadership to me is like leadership by example. I mean, a leader wouldn't, in my opinion, I think a leader doesn't ask someone to do something that he wouldn't do himself. A leader will scrub toilets. A leader wouldn't just delegate that to somebody. A leader will say, you know what, I'm not better than you. I'm going to get down on the dirt. I'm going to change a light bulb. I'm going to do whatever I can. I'll show you how to do it. I'll train you how to do it. And that's my passing my knowledge on to you. That is leadership, right? You can either lead people, you can push people down, or you can pull them up. And there's two different types of leadership. And I've learned from both of them, and I prefer the latter, bringing people up.
That's that's a very powerful statement, because again, initiative definitely is really the definition of true leadership, because sometimes we can't wait on somebody to, come up with an idea. Like, if we see somebody struggling or we struggling, we got to put our heads together and say, hey, let's make this happen, and like you said, and also I want to piggyback off what you said, Rob, is that also to me, a good leader is somebody who, as you stated, passes on knowledge and not jealous, not envious, somebody who wants to learn and grow together. So that's what I get.
And you train somebody to do something, and hopefully they can do it better than you. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? That's to me the mark of true leadership. And then there's the worst kind of leadership, which is leadership by entitlement, which really, chaps my ass, for lack of a better term. People that think that they are leaders because they have a series of letters next to their name or whatever. Get lost. I mean, that's, sorry, I'm being polite, but yeah.
I think that's where the definition has actually been lost, because I think there is only one definition of a true leader, and that is if you can truly replicate yourself into that leader position of, as we were talking about, on helping to bring others up. So if you can actually replicate your good leadership skills to others, to replicate yourself, I believe that is the only definition of a true leader itself.
Well, it begs the question, are leaders born or are they made?
I think you're born.
A leader is born, you think so?
I say a little bit of both. And the reason why I say that is because most times when you have great leaders, it didn't happen overnight. Like, people go through things, people learn things, because as even you stated, right? Like, to be honest with you, like, there's a lot of people who want to lead, but I feel like sometimes being a leader, you kind of been through some battles, I think that you've been through things, and you can kind of have like a little bit of insight. Don't get me wrong, there are sometimes where people can have wisdom without experience at times, but I think for the most part, like, a good leader would understand, people's strengths and weaknesses, as well as their own, and not be insecure about it,
I just want to say something to you, Wade, on the point that, You're just was saying that it was on things that like experiences and stuff that you go through and that you built, right? That leaders aren't just made overnight, right? But you can also, if you think about this in another perspective and think, well, isn't that a leader being born then? Because a true leader has to go through many hardships and obstacles and challenges to actually develop into a true leader in that. So are you truly born, or do you truly lead into it?
I think depending on how you look at it, you got to lead. Well, no, this is
who has the answer? Steven has the answer. He just joined us. He's got all the answers.
I don't have all the answers.
He doesn't even have to know the topic. He'll have all the answers.
I'm sorry for being late. I come on a little bit earlier there, but I just got a call from a friend who I had to run an answer, who is doing time in Ottawa detention center, and he was reaching out to have somebody to talk to. So I'm sorry for coming on and walking out, but I do not have all the answers. But I believe leaders move into their positions. I don't think anybody is born a leader. I think we acquire talents to get us into a leadership position. And without, the certain talents, you're never going to lead anybody. But I don't think you're born with it. I don't think anybody is born with it. I think it's all acquired. That's and I only come in at the end of this conversation, so I don't know what everybody else is saying, but I'll stick to my guns. And I didn't know I was going to talk even, and I go throw a candy in my mouth. So now I'm juggling everything at the same time. It's like, holy shit.
Okay. What's on the agenda now, Dipchand? Do you know? I mean,
okay, well,
I think
we've pretty much covered all the questions on topic. Now, there was a couple of them that weren't brought up before. I have
3 undermentioned questions may be discussed if time permits.
Right. So
those. Yeah. You want me to go through those?
Yeah.
So
well,
the
first one
Sorry,
I think we should get to, because I think it's a critical issue that people don't usually talk about, but I think it's important. So if you want to start with that, we can.
And we'll just do this as an open forum. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So men in education, with fewer men entering teaching and early childhood education, how does this impact boys' role modeling and the future of schooling? You want me to read all 3 and we can choose which one we want to zero in on? All right. Second one, acknowledging sacrifice. What are some of the most underappreciated sacrifices men make for society, and how can we better recognize them? And the third one is celebrating success. What are some notable achievements or accomplishments of men that we should be celebrating and recognizing more often? So men in education, acknowledging sacrifice, and celebrating success. We can dive into anyone that you guys like. They can be all intertwined, or we can go one at a time, or I'll just throw one out there.
We could probably intertwine all of them.
What's that?
I said we can intertwine all of them. So I guess
Yeah, okay.
I guess
Where do you guys want to start? Okay, let's start at the top then. Men in education.
Okay. The first thing is that I think that, first of all, I know that in my culture, I see a lot of more women that are teachers. It's very, I don't know what it is, but it's kind of very rare, because I remember being in school, I've had more female teachers than male teachers, but I don't know. I think maybe that's just because some societies just push it that way, and I don't know. I think they try to push the men more into the hardcore jobs like construction, plumbing, things of that nature. So that's all I got. I think it's just a cultural thing.
Include elementary school, college, university. or because I would imagine that the gender gap might tighten as you get more into bigger schools and
That's
higher
true.
institutions. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because like in elementary school, yeah, definitely more female teachers. I think more college professors. Yeah, you may have more male teachers there, but I don't know. I don't know. I think I don't know. Maybe it's just that sometimes men maybe don't want to really work with children. I don't know. That's just what I think personally.
Yeah,
For
I think it
whatever
goes
reason.
actually deeper into the actual genetics of humanity. And this is actually a big teaching that the indigenous is trying to get across right now, that the modern society and modern way of thinking has actually lost the actual true connection of what actually humans are actually supposed to be doing and about right now, which is actually being connected to Mother Earth. Most people don't realize that Mother Earth actually provides everything that a human body actually needs, from science to actually medicinal purposes, from our remedies, natural recipes to remedies that we have that have been built up in traditions over generations and years from the indigenous cultures, right? So I stand from a point of actually that the education that's being taught to all society, to the men, and that is not the proper education. And men are actually losing their true purpose of what our genetics are actually designed to be, which is men are designed to be more physical fit, stronger, and that than females. And the whole reason that I believe is that because men are, from the beginning of time, there to protect and provide for family. So if we keep this into the true basics of that, this is our design, is to protect and provide. We need to be strong. We need to have purpose, because this is where men end up committing suicide and end up having going to drugs and alcohol and all these other vices, is because they're trying to numb that out and they don't have a purpose, or they don't feel purpose or feel support. Because that's what I find, and I'm to be honest with everybody out there going through that at this point of my life, that I've done everything for my family, led a very successful career, not even helping my family, but I've been a municipal firefighter for 14 years. So I've helped out many other people through some difficult times and struggles. And at this point of life, you get to where you realize, like, do I have a purpose? Am I being acknowledged? And are people there actually to help me when I'm going through my troubles? But when it comes to us, and that has been providing for everybody else, there is nobody in our corner, and we don't have other men that we can go to and talk about what is happening and what is going on. And so this is very important, that I think it's the wrong education being taught to society, and that's why we are having so much mental health issues, and men don't know where to go or what to do, because truly there isn't a spot for us.
Yeah, that's well said. But I can agree with everything. And again, that goes back to society pushing, certain, stigmas on people and certain mindsets, so I can definitely agree with what you're saying. And then even as far as like celebrating success, that one really kind of touched me, because I actually have had the privilege of speaking with those in the news media. And me being a young man from the Black community, let's be real, like I was just talking in the news media how, like, a lot of times there's a lot of people out here doing good stuff, white, Black, Latino, Indian, all type of individuals, but unfortunately we live in a world that kind of glorifies the negativity. And I always say that it's kind of sad when people are more there. It seems like people are more celebrated in death rather than in life. And I can say that because, again, I worked in the funeral business for over almost 16 years since high school. And a lot of times, like when you see, because everybody has a talent, everybody has a skill set, and there are a lot of people out here doing a lot of great things, but unfortunately, again, you only hear people's story when somebody gets like robbed or mugged or killed. And I think it's kind of pathetic, to be honest with you. Like I literally have been battling with the news media. I'm not gonna call none of the stations because they're gonna be mad at me, but I have been, kind of going back and forth with them about this for the longest. And so I think it's just so important to teach our culture. And when I say culture, I'm not speaking just Black, I'm speaking the human culture, that we learn to celebrate one another and we learn to appreciate one another. It's like, it's like if Stephen has a business and, I know he's a pretty good guy, then I shouldn't wait for everybody else to recognize him. I'm like, check my boy Stephen out. If Chief Little Eagle got something good over here, I can say, check my brother over here out. It should be like, and I'm gonna be honest, like a lot of this is kind of like learned behavior. Like, I don't know if you all are like movie fans or anything, but if you think about the Disney movie Tomorrowland, right? The movie was about how, like, when it ended, it was kind of like when he went to the future, he saw that like they were feeding everybody like this negative and evil news, right? And it's like, and it's just, to me, like if a person keeps putting out just bad things in front of people, like that becomes the mindset, because a lot of times when you see good things, people just kind of skip over it, And I do agree with you, Chief Little Eagle, that we should kind of return to our roots a little bit, because that's why so much hatred and division in the world, because it thrives off negativity, And again, I get so sick of it. But like I said, I've spoken to many I even thought about actually doing a short film about an artist who did a lot of great things, but he wasn't recognized until he died. And that's actually why I thought about that, because again, it's like, I don't know why society does it, but it's sick.
Yeah, that's why we need things like this and groups of like-minded individuals to come together to actually make this change. There's too much of just people talking out there and all these ideas and everything, but unless you take action and actually make these changes, nothing's going to happen. So we need to stand up and we need to show that this is the proper way. This is what we're supposed to be doing, right? Uniting, and all lives matter. It doesn't matter. We're all humans, and we all came from wherever we came from. So it's we're all on the same page, and we need to work together to make this a better future for our children. So
I agree.
Well, on the education one, I think we have less men in the elementary schools, because if you take 2 women and 2 men and you walk into a room and there's little girls around, the men aren't allowed to stay there with the little girls because they're not trusted. But you put all boys in the room, you put a woman in the room, oh, that's all right. They can be trusted. And so I think a lot of men have backed away from the education system because of that. And also, when you look at the stats, that the boys and men are dropping out of school a lot earlier than women are. In going back in the early 90s, it was 65%, 35% men in university. And right now, I think it's sitting at about 60% women and 40% men. So the whole thing is turned right around, because men have lost interest. They don't have anything to strive for anymore, because no matter what happens, they're going to get shot down. And we have to learn to pick up the gauntlet and start running again, because I've said it at several talks that I've done, that why women got everything they have right now is because they fought for it and the men sat back. Well, now it's time for the men to start fighting and fighting back a bit. And I don't mean physical fighting, but start standing up for themselves and standing up for their rights. And,
having a voice.
It's right. Like I started a men's group in Cornwall, and now I got another one in Alexandria. I was in a meeting yesterday, and it looks like I might be getting another one in a major company in Hawkesbury. So it's like, I think right now what's happening is because people are talking about it. And it's the same thing as, like, everywhere you look now, they're talking about suicide prevention, because it's in people's faces. And right now, people are hearing more and more and more about men's troubles, men's struggles going through life. And we're starting to matter again, where for so long, nobody gave a shit if we lived or died. And now, people are starting to say, okay, men are starting to make waves. And I don't want a rebellion, but I would love to see it keep going the way it is. Like
Wow.
so far, my men's group, we've had 160 men in Cornwall come through the doors. We've had 10 in Alexandria, which is a new group. And, it keeps growing. It keeps growing.
Yeah, I think it's inevitable, Stefan, because the reason it's growing right now is because the world's actually going, pardon my language, to shit. And that the men are the one that always pulls things together and keeps things going and flowing. And so I believe you can't stop it, man. At the end of the day, the real men are going to have enough, and they're just going to not take it anymore. And they're just going to, what's happening right now is just warriors are coming out everywhere, and we're all standing up, and we've had enough, man. And it's time for us to make this change and to stand together. And that's, you can't stop that. So,
absolutely. Well, I did a talk in Edwards, Ontario, which is near Ottawa, Thursday night. And 2 men, 2 women on the panel. And then somebody asked if they could speak. And it was a gentleman come up and he started talking about how hard life has been for him. Like he worked and worked and worked and worked. His wife got discouraged because he was never home. She divorced him. Where did he end up? On the street. And, I'm standing there and I said to the guy just before I did my talk, I said, you're going to hear like an echo because everything you talked about is what I lived. I was a millionaire. I lost everything, but my wife still had great credit. I couldn't even get credit to buy a pack of cigarettes. So, and now I see things happening. I see things happening to men. And I say, no, we have to stop. The phone call I was just on, it's a guy, he's going to jail. He's going to be getting 3 to 5 years. He got charged with sexual assault because he went in the bathroom when his ex-wife was in the shower and sat on the edge of the shower talking to her. And he claims he never touched her. This is his word against everybody else's, but he's going to be doing 3 to 5 for sexual assault and going on the predators list or whatever it's called, sexual offenders list. So, and like his wife actually was laughing when they were in court 2 weeks ago. And it's like, that's not right. It's not right. If he did it, it's wrong. It's great. But nobody should be able to stand there and laugh. She should be getting some shit kicked out of her too. It's like,
yeah. And Stephen, you actually brought out a really good point that I was kind of beating around the bush early when you said that a lot of men, especially as Rob brought up the point with the children education, because a lot of people don't, it's a lot of things that go on and a lot of people don't even like rather to deal with it. Some people just rather not go near that, I think that like a lot of men avoid, as to your point, teaching in the institution with children because they don't want to be labeled as offenders or because things happen, and look, we don't live in a perfect world, but I think that more people just rather like avoid even being around that kind of stuff.
I did a talk at a school 2 years ago. And there was a young girl at the back of the gymnasium. And just before I went up on the stage to do the talk, I noticed her. She was sitting and she was shaking like a leaf. So I went over and I sat with her. And somewhere during the conversation, I told her I had to go up and do my talk. And I reached over and I tapped her on her knee. And I said, I will be back. As soon as I'm finished, I'll come back. I went and did my talk. I come back off the stage and I go back to her. And one of the teachers says, next time, please don't touch her. And I said, excuse me? Because I didn't even realize that I had done it. I said, excuse me? And then she reaches over and she's kind of holding my arm. And I said, how come I'm not allowed to? Because when she told me what I did, I said, how come I'm not allowed to tap her on the leg? And I said, she's all dressed. and tell her she's going to be okay. I'm not allowed to do that. I said, but you're allowed to grab me. I said, I'm a married man. I said, what if my wife walks in and sees you holding onto my arm? What is she going to think? And she said, it's not the same thing because I'm a woman.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, okay. So I went over and I said to the little girl, I said, I'm not allowed to touch you. I said, but would you like to hold my hand? And she said, yes. So I put my hands out and she held my hand. And when the principal afterwards were talking, and I told him, I said, everything's out in the open. I'm not running away with this little girl. He said, I know. And he says, I'm glad you did that. He said, because it shows her that how stupid she is. And I still mentor the kids right now. I'm waiting for my vulnerable sector background check to come back, which is waiting since September 17th. And it's like, holy shit, come on, guys. Give it to me so I can go back in and talk to these kids. Because the boys, and if either one of you get a chance to get into a school where there's hard knocks kids that are from poor ends and everything else that don't have a lot of guidance.
I was one of them, Stephen.
Yeah, I work with the youth too, and I've seen things happen to people. That's why, like me, when I did work with youth, I kind of backed out of it myself because I'm the type of person where if I see trouble, I put my finger up. I'm out. But so I understand it's just sometimes some people rather be safe than sorry. But I think that we definitely do need to, just change the way people think about these things because, what a few bad people have done is not everybody,
Okay, is every native indigenous person bad? Is every indigenous person an alcoholic? Every black person are the gangsters.
Mm-mm.
Every white person, are we perfect? No fucking way. Excuse me. And we all have good and bad. And what happens is, like, because I want to do this with the kids, but because there's one or two bad apples that come through the doors at one point, hundreds of miles away, it matters. We're everybody. I have a Dodge van, like a camper type van. I blew my horn at a friend in Cornwall. And when I blew the horn, he jumped and he's turned and started walking the opposite way. So I said, what the? So anyways, I went around the block and I opened the window. I said, what's going on? Oh man, I thought you were trying to kidnap me. I said, what are you talking about? Well, everybody that gets kidnapped is in a van. I said, you are stereotyping every person that drives a van. It's like every homeless person is a pervert, a drug addict or whatever. No, don't put everybody in the same pot. We're not the same. We are good, we are bad, we are alcoholics, we are drug addicts, but not everybody. And it's what's happened so much. I was brought up in a part of Montreal called Little Burgundy, which is equivalent to Harlem. In seventh grade, there was 2 white kids in the class, myself and one other guy. And we never had a fight. We never had to fight for our rights. And when later on in years, there was a club in Montreal, which was a black club. And I've gone in there, the only white guy sitting at the bar drinking. And because of where I came from, everybody knew me. And nobody ever. But it wasn't the same thing for black guys going into white bars because there's so much friggin' racism going on. Now it's a little bit better, but at the same time, and the same as the indigenous, I used to go to Akwesasne. No, not Akwesasne. Kanawaki. And what the people were saying back in the day about the indigenous people, and I'm looking at them, I went out with an indigenous girl, one of the best girlfriends I've ever had. I'm serious, because she treated me like I was a king. I treated her, we were young, we're 17 years old. I treated her like she was a queen, and She was beautiful. Eileen Deer. I'll never forget that. And it's like, but you know, you're going out with an Indigenous? Yeah, why not? You're going out with a Black girl? Why not? Why not?
Stephen, we need to wrap this up. Stephen, we're running out of time. If we can wrap this up, that would be good.
Okay, all that to say is too many people get labeled, whether they're men being labeled as pedophiles, and they, you know, there's nothing to prove that they are, or you know, racism running rampant, or be it different nationalities being put down because of it. No, there's no need for it, and we have to educate people, and it all comes with education. And I think if anybody wants to get educated, they should read the book from an Indigenous person called Richard Wagamese and learn what it is to go with Mother Earth, because Mother Earth, like you said before, holds everything for us. And I tell you, Richard Wagamese has opened my eyes up every morning for the last 6 months. I read his books over and over and over again. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much. Before I turn over to Sivam, I just want to add my 2 cents on this very special occasion. Men have made invaluable contributions to society, shaping our world with their courage, resilience, and dedication. From pioneering scientific breakthroughs to leading social movements, men have played a vital role in advancing humanity. Of course, we should mention briefly the unique challenges men face, such as higher rates of suicide, workplace facilities, limited access to health, and family court injustices. Today, we recognize these issues as we celebrate the positive impact men have had on our society. I would like to take at this time to thank all the outstanding panelists and everyone who has tuned in to this particular broadcast. This is a most welcomed conversation, and I really appreciate all the meaningful and significant inputs that everyone has contributed to the conversation. So thank you all very much. To my awesome co-host Rob for a superb job, and to our president Sivam for manning the fort as only he can. From all of us here, that's on behalf of me. Sivam will do the closing. I would like to say cheers and best wishes in all that stands before you. Now on to Sivam, our president, for closing remarks. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. Lot of things actually, but first of all, thank you, Jerome, actually, for International Men's Day, and also recognizing our work, and also all the guests. Some of you guys, some of them, they couldn't make it today, especially Dipchand and Rob for hosting and co-hosting. Of course, we're going to have another show in Tamil language tomorrow morning, Canadian time, and then Indian time, evening 7:30 to 9:30. But again, I want to thank each one of you guys. Any support, I mean, all the support and everything. Some of the organization actually took some sort of initiatives. I would say not only organization, but also individuals actually this year, all over the place, in Canada and in India and some other countries too. So it's always growing. We need more awareness and also more support. Amazing speakers. Thank you guys, because some of them with a short notice, they actually joined, and some of them they couldn't join, but even with that, they could send a video message, so we could play it. Of course, here and there some technical issues and some other issues, but at least we can conduct this smoothly. Thanks everybody again. Keep up the great work, and the one request is that all the guests, we will bring them back to our podcast, monthly podcast, open up the new guest. And also humble request is that when you guys watching this video, not just watching but also share with other people, so this way the message can be spread out and also we can reach out more people. So please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Voice of Men 360. We have more than 600 episodes over there on various topics. So once again, guys, thanks a lot. Thank you for for continuous support. Of course, Stephen, Mentalk, and other Christy and everybody else. Thanks a lot. Anything else we missed, guys, though?
Rob, do you have any final words?
No, I think it was a great session. I'm grateful to all of you guys for showing up and contributing. It was a blast. I look forward to doing it again and getting to know some of you a little bit, more closely and the organizations that you're with. So thanks for taking the time.
If I could just say thank you to the three of you, Sivam, Rob, and Dipchand, for coming to the event last week. It really meant a lot to me to see you all there. The certificates and everything else were really appreciated. But just having you there was really the highlight of it all. And so thank you very much for making the drive and showing up to it. And maybe next year, the rest of the people on this call could come to the event also. It would be amazing.
Happy to be there, Stephen.
It was great. Thank you.
Happy to be there, and also we got a good connections. At the same time, I just want to remind you guys, whoever watching and other people, the Google form for nomination, please do go to that Google form and then fill out, or even you can share any possible, it's not only within Canada, but all over the world. You can fill out the form and then you can send it to us, and then we can. So the nomination or nominees will be announced on the January 31st next year at the International Day for the Elimination Against Violence Against Men and Boys. So that's January 31st. We will announce the nominations. Thanks a lot, guys. Once again, thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Big wish.
Thank you.
You guys.
Have a great night.
Have a good night.
Good night, everyone. Thanks again.
Good night.
Are we still on, Sivan, for the after show?
Yeah, just hold on.
Yeah, I'm here. I just don't, screen's been minimized.
Voice of Men 360 is a non-profit organization founded in 2020 and based in London, Ontario, Canada. Voice of Men 360 was born out of recognizing the tremendous void men and boys face in overcoming life challenges. Our goal is to support them in addressing this issue to the extent that we believe will also lead to them making more meaningful contributions to their communities. Our vision is to provide positive, preventative, and supportive ongoing services to improve gender relations, uplift the disadvantaged, offer life skills, and empower men and boys throughout Canada and the world. Our mission is creating a more peaceful and harmonious Canada by promoting positive male role models for boys and men, collaborating with individuals, government, NGOs, and private sector organizations to provide a suitable platform for discussions on improving masculinity ideals, including gender relations, that we believe would, by extension, result in societal benefits as well. Voice of Men 360 is the official Canadian coordinator for International Men's Day. International Men's Day is a global non-profit organization. IMD follows 6 pillars that support the overall well-being of boys and men. It has been serving for over 25 years and nearly 95 countries around the world, united in a drive to sustain and improve masculinity with the intent of creating a better world for all. Please reach out to us at 226-28